Hello again. If you have made it this far, you have learned a lot about citing the kinds of sources you are likely to use as you work on research papers using APA style. There are a few sources that are less common, but do still come up for students, that can be tricky because they are unusual and don't fit neatly into APA format. I call these the problem children of APA citation. One problem you might face when working on your APA citations is that of reference twins. Reference twins are two sources published in the same year with the exact same authors. Only identical twins are a problem, where the in-text citation looks exactly the same for both sources. If your references are identical twins, you will need to add an A and B to both the in-text citations and the reference list entries to distinguish the citations from each other. Alphabetize them by title to determine which should be the A entry and which should be the B entry. Reviews of books, films, or other media are a little unusual when it comes to APA formatting because you need to cite not only the review itself, but also the source it is a review of. The original source information will be placed in brackets after the title of the review, if there is a title. Often there is no title, though. If that's the case, don't worry about it. Include a description of the type of source reviewed, such as book or film, right before the title of the original source. You will also include the author or editor of the book reviewed, or the date of release if it is a film or other media without a standard author. The location information you provide after that will be for the review, not for the original source, and it follows standard APA formatting you are already familiar with. Another type of source that can be tricky to figure out for citation purposes is the interview. If the interview is published, just treat it like any other journal article, book chapter, or magazine article in your reference list. If it is an interview you conducted, however, and it is unpublished, it is not considered retrievable by your reader, so you will not include it in your reference list. You will just cite it in text. Include the name of the person interviewed in your parenthetical in-text citation, along with the words personal communication and the date of the interview. Other resources that can be tricky to cite are resources that generate information for you after you enter specific variables. GIS databases often work in this way, as do some other information repositories, and these are becoming more and more common in certain disciplines. In order for these sources to be retrievable for your readers, you need to include the variables used to generate the resource. This information will be placed in brackets, along with the date it was used to generate the information. This date is important, since the data in these resources can change. Also include the title you have assigned to the generated information, if there is one, and any URL associated with the resource. Finally, it is not very likely, but it is possible that you might at some point want to cite text printed on a piece of equipment or a consumer product in a research paper. This kind of information is not considered retrievable, so like an unpublished interview, you leave it out of your reference list. To cite it in text, though, you will need to include the manufacturer name, the name of the product or equipment, and the date it was manufactured.